Hi, this is Mark Soden. I'm here with Santa Ana Noise Fest 13. I'm here with Paul Angelosanto.
Hi, I'm Paul Angelosanto, and I am in Weirdfield, or as it's otherwise known, Wakefield, Massachusetts.
We always start with an origin question, and what we're concerned with today is what sound all those years ago did you hear that started you down the track to experiment with noise?
I wouldn't say it was one sound per se, but I have the actual vinyl someplace, but I didn't have the time to dig it out. But the Ventures, when I was believe it or not, there was the Ventures. I blame them. My older brother, had moved out, and he left this Ventures album called Batman theme, and I put it on as a kid, and I listened to it, and of course I put it on because Batman, yay! But the sounds just blew my mind, and the little weird things that they would do, and when I listen to it this day, which I still do, the little sounds that they make are just so like, wow, where did they think of this? And that really got me excited to think I, somebody should be making more stuff like this. The weird parts, not the great skilled parts, because there's plenty of people doing that. But why not explore some of this weird stuff that they were doing?
Just out of curiosity, do you have a piece of gear that you are going to use for Santa Ana Noise Fest 13 that you find inspiring that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah. The piece I mainly used for the Noise Fest video that we contributed is a stylophone. And I had an older, well, it's a copy of a stylophone. I've actually seen where I could probably buy some used stylophones, but they don't really, I don't think the condition that they're in now is really all that great. So I'd rather go for a cheap copy, especially because I'm cheap. Um, and I was looking recently thinking, well, I've got this stylophone. It's kind of old. They have a newer stylophone copy that was very exciting, has like different onboard effects. And I thought, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna use this for some stuff. And I loved it. I had a blast messing around with that. Um, it oftentimes surprises me during the recording. Uh, it did some stuff that I just was like, wow, it did that. Okay, I'm in. This is great. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. I love playing with that thing. I think it's going to take a long time before I get bored of it.
What is the noise scene like in your area?
Well, not that great. Many years ago, in the early 2000s, there was a very vibrant scene, especially in the Lowell area. And there were these interesting acts like Zero Times Infinity and Journey to the Center of the Colon. And those acts are still around, but I don't feel like there's a huge scene anymore because there was like places we'd all play at and perform at, and you could like once a week you could go see all these crazy off the wall acts, and it's not quite that way anymore. But these are acts still are around. They're just not getting out as much anymore, unfortunately.
Was there an art gallery, 219 gallery in Lowell?
Yes, they weren't act the big scene wasn't really necessarily there, but that place was active as well. And I've seen some amazing shows at that gallery. Just incredible. I was very fortunate to get a copy of one that Karen Langley from Wisterics did. That was just wow, amazing. So yeah, there's definitely was a great scene up in Lowell, not quite as much anymore. But a lot of these acts are still around. I think they just have problems finding places to perform.
How do you prepare for a performance?
Well, that's something that I take with different acts. With our act that we're doing in Santa Ana Noise Fest, Amplissima, I decided to take this since there's three other people in it. I decided to take the track because a lot of the other acts I'll do tons and tons of preparation for. I mean, hours of preparation for Amplitude. I thought, well, there's three other people performing besides me. I'm not going to prepare anything. I'm going to go just with my instrument, have nothing in my head about what I'm going to do, and I'm going to listen. So I would sit and during the performance, I sit a lot and listen to like Eric Dahlman would play some parts on a trumpet. And I would be like, that's maybe I can do something with this, or maybe I should just do nothing. And then Tim Mungenass would maybe play some, mess around with his guitar or do some overtone singing. And I would try to look for spaces in there that I could play around with. And Deb would sometimes, be doing something with the mandolin, and I'd try to think, well, how am I going to get in there and complement that, or should I just stay here and do nothing? So there are parts where I will, where I just don't do much because I feel like I'm going to step on everybody else. So there are parts where I go crazy because I feel like I can fill in some gaps. So no real preparation for this one for me,
So
which is kind of novel.
I know that you've performed with Tim and Eric and Deb for a while. How did you come together in this aggregation?
Well, it's interesting. I hadn't actually performed with Eric until this started. We had seen him at a few shows, and I got a bunch of his albums, and I was always like, wow, I never thought of the trumpet. Even though I really like Miles Davis, somehow part of my brain never said this is an avant-garde instrument, even though, Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis very much is an avant-garde album, and, and Bitches Brew, of course. But when I heard Eric play, I'm like, wow, yeah, why didn't I get this? And you know, and Tim had done a few things with him, and we had done a bunch of things with Tim. And Tim at one point, I think it was Tim who suggested, yeah, we should maybe try doing something together. And we said, yeah, that'd be great. And Eric's a big believer in recording out in these weird different spaces outside. So we met at this weird space out in the middle of Medford for the first series of recordings. And, it was fantastic. It felt like it was funny performing with him that first time. Felt like I had already performed with him a bunch of times. And when we shot the video and recorded the audio for the Santa Ana Noise Fest, again, it just felt like, eh, I've already played with him 100 times, even though this is only the second time. I really felt at home with him.
Well, he's a fabulous player, and
Yeah.
I've seen him on a few occasions. Do you think you're going to get together with this group again in the future?
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep going. We've got enough material probably for about 2 albums. We just got to edit it all together and, do all the fine tuning. But I think we've got about enough material for 2 albums. And we've talked about other places that we could perform at, um, that will not perform at, but like record at, like different sites. As soon as the weather gets warmer again, we'll probably get set up another recording date and take it from there. But yeah, we're definitely going to keep going. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see any reason to stop.
Recording outdoors is a unique thing. How did you do it?
Great question. It is a unique thing. One thing we had to accept right away, or you have to accept if you're recording outside, is that the environment is a band member. So technically, we really have 5 people because you could try to squeeze out all these different sounds that are happening in the background, but what's the point of that? The point of recording outside is really to kind of get that vibe. So I'm a firm believer in actually enhancing that and playing up the fact that we're outside. So when I've been mixing like some of the tracks, I've been trying to make sure that that volume is definitely in there and audible at all times. Any wind noises, plane sounds, whatever, they're just there.
What kind of gear did you use to do this?
Well, the first recording was done with we actually had a professional engineer come out with us, which is fantastic. He had different mics set up, and I also set up a couple of Zooms, little handheld Zoom recorders. Huge believer in those things, and we set those up, and then just I got all the files together and started doing the editing. This last recording, unfortunately, the engineer couldn't make it, but we just did it all with Zoom recorders. Those things are amazing. As long as you position them in a good spot, you're all set.
Yeah, they are. Very impressive. Do you have anything that you would like to add or tell people that are coming to Santa Ana Noise Fest 13?
I say strap on and get in there and watch. It is fun. There were so many great acts in the last one. And one of the great things I think that people don't get about a noise fest like this, is it can actually be funny. Some of the acts that were on there were funny, and intentionally so, I think. And it's great to have a sense of humor with this stuff, and it's not all you know boring. It's fun.
Well, thank you very much. This has
You.
been Paul Angelosanto for Santa Ana Noise Fest 13. We'll talk soon.